All right. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome back to the podcast. A lot's happened in New South Wales. Dominic Perrottet's the new Premier of New South Wales as well. I've been listening to Fox News, Sky News, as well as my chosen news media. A lot of strange things are going on in the United States with vaccine mandates, the Joe Biden presidency. Also, Sydney, New South Wales is a bit of a police state at the moment. We've got an election coming up next year as well. But there's a lot to be excited for on the Stephen Shields radio show for 2022 and on YouTube and yourself. So how have you been since we last spoke?
Yeah, been good, been busy.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, we've got similar sort of issues, of course, with being having a lot of people demonstrating, anti-vaxxers demonstrating. So we've had a lot of police forces. We've had a lot of discussions about whether the police need to get they're getting vaccinated, but whether they need to get counselling for people who are abusing them, and so this is a big problem here. We've had it. You think you've got it bad? We've had a change of government like Italy.
Is it a right wing or a left wing government?
It's like left, right, left. It's right. So
Who's
it's stable now.
Who's in power? Is it? I don't know.
Well, we had Kurz was the chancellor up until I think it was 2 months ago. Then we had another guy come in, and he was there for 2 months because it wasn't working out. And now he's back in his old job, and they've got a new person in. It's basically we don't know. It's just basically a very much. They have so many parties here, unlike Australia, where you might have I don't know, 10 or something.
Yeah, mostly the Liberal, the Labor.
Yeah.
Our two main parties in Australia. Then you got the Independents as well. I don't know. Like, look, I'm
we have about 50 parties. Put it that way.
Wow. You see,
some of the coalitions that are forming are very right wing, and very much like anti-government, anti-vaccine. Those sort of people that you get in America too, that are carrying guns.
Well, the problem with the United States, there's healthcare workers who are getting the sack because they don't want to get the jab, so they're probably moving to Florida. Some of the police force. This is what Joe Biden's brought in. Because I listen to Fox News, and I like Sky as well, and I don't mind reading the ABC actually. Yeah. So I don't know, like, what's next.
Well, I think we've really just got to be vigilant in our circles. I was just looking at, there's a woman named Jane Elliott, and she's been around for many years, since the 50s, where she did an experiment, brown eyes, blue eyes, and she basically asked, to put it in a nutshell, because if you look her up, she's fantastic, but her experiments from children through to corporate businesses the idea was put yourself in someone else's shoes, and don't assume anything, and know that a lot of the things that you think, you believe, and you trust are structured so that you'll trust them. So people saying people who aren't white are not as smart as people who are that sort of people that kind of thing. Racism and sexism, women are not as smart as men, all this stuff. The systems establish this, and I think what's happening now is that in our circles, in our own little circles, because they've become smaller and smaller, the bubbles with the COVID, we've found that we're talking to our circles more about these important issues, and we're seeing within our own circles people coming out of this position and not being aligned with your own position, or revealing their unwillingness to move ahead, to progress.
So here's
and
the
find new information.
there was a professor at UCLA was told this was last year during Black Lives Matter that he had to give, I say the word black students the benefit of the doubt, a pass. Now he didn't want to do that, and this is at UCLA. I think it's in Los Angeles or something. I don't know, the dean, I don't know, stood him down, and he's ended up suing the university for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to this on Fox, and I think, what the fuck's going on? Why does the university want to do that?
First of all, you're listening to Fox, so that's so. What can I say? But it is that there is an element. There are many elements of truth here. When I was lecturing, I was an graduate assistant at Michigan State, which is right near. We had a lot of students come from Detroit, and a lot of them were black. And I'd get into my class. I'd have, because I was as an assistant, I gave seminars of like 60 students sometimes. And I'd go in, and every week I'd go in and going, well, okay, two things. First of all, if I piss off one of these students, they're going to complain.
Are you for real?
Yeah. If I piss them off enough and they've had a bad enough day, they're going to pull a gun. And this is not hyperbole. This was not catastrophizing. This was what actually had happened to people, not to me, thankfully. But I had black students come up to me and say, "You gave me a bad grade. You should give me a better one because you don't know where I'm coming from, and how would you know my opinion? So how can you possibly grade me?" And I'd like, well, there was a question, you didn't answer it. And how do you deal with this? So what happens a lot of the time is that the people who are dealing with it are these professors, lecturers, assistants, graduate assistants. You don't see the dean being fired for not having a strong enough, clear enough, open enough policy, do you? No, you see the little professor, not little, but you see, the single scapegoat being trotted out, and everyone going, "Oh, that's not fair," when actually it's a systemic problem. It's a problem with a friend I have who gets pulled up by the police in Florida because they look Hispanic in front of their own home, saying, "Why are you trying to break in?"
Yeah, that's just stupid.
It's systemic. So one professor having a problem with these grades, it's not the problem of the professor nor the student. It's actually the larger problem of this whole system, and that's why I keep going back in sort of circles, but it's our own little worlds that we have to look at, and we have to help one to another, because the system right now has taken on a life of its own.
The problem I find, university grades should not be based around your race, disability, background, etc. I mean, it's an academic level, and well, what are you there to do? You're there to answer the question, Elizabeth, and pass, credit, distinction, etc., etc. I think, well, if you're given a pass or a 50 in my scenario, I'll be very happy because I get through the unit. Now, it's an academic level, of course. Now, I just found that weird and a little off. Now, this professor is suing the university, and look, good on him for standing up for his
He actually
rights.
Doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's not like he wants
to.
He has to. If he doesn't, then it's not going to show well on his resume. It's not going to show. It's like a nasty group effort. And what is sad is that he's being put in a situation where he must sue, rather than saying, can we talk this through? Because there's no non-legal way out of this now, because the society is so litigious, and it's the same in Australia. It's a very litigious society. But the thing is about the whole idea of academic standards yes, it's all very nice, and that's ideal to say that it should be about how you know um, how well you work, how hard you work, how much you apply yourself, um, how sensible you have done your choosing of your subjects that's suitable to you, how good your advisors are. But it also boils back to how much money you have, how much family support you have. There are people who are doing poorly at school because they can't afford to go to school.
And especially homeschooling. Yes, I was going to mention
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Now,
And
I,
yeah,
I said to
and also
my
having to do second jobs.
Elizabeth, I said to my grandma, how can you go to homeschool if you can't afford the internet? How are you supposed to learn?
Good
What do you
question.
have? Do you have to get an audio recorder or what? I don't know. It was on Dr. Phil, because of
What
homeschooling.
the internet companies do,
Yeah,
I think I have the answer to this.
go for it.
What they do is because the internet is so pervasive and everything is about making money on the internet,
Mm,
they will make, wherever you live, they will make the internet just affordable so
mm,
that everyone has it. Okay, well, it's only worth, maybe if you're in a very poor town somewhere where you have, lots of people but very poor, um,
mm.
like say in India or somewhere in
Oh
China
yeah,
or certain parts of America, and even to some extent certain parts of Australia, I'm sure, certainly Europe, in Eastern Europe.
yeah,
The companies will bring the price just to the level where you say, well, it's only a cup of coffee in my country every day.
yeah.
It's like having a Coke, or it's just a can of Coke, or
Mm,
it's not that much every day. And so they bring it to that because they can afford to do that, because they know if they access that person's going to be pumping in all their personal information, pumping in all these clicks and clickbait and all this sort of thing,
mm,
and they're going to get more advertising, get more revenue, and keep the ball rolling. Now, when it comes to little places in Australia, I mean, what are the I don't know what's going on with the small towns, but a lot of those small towns didn't close anyway, did they, during the
mm.
pandemic?
Not a lot. Not in the outback, I think.
And so, and as far as the homeschooling, it's really only very uh, right wing Christian, like those
Mm,
really hardcore Christian brethrens and those
mm,
sort of people who are actually doing homeschooling, and they've got plenty of funding.
mm.
There's no shortage of money when it comes to Christian homeschooling. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's maybe not such a problem with the internet because um, there's always that provision to
Mm,
get that happening. One thing that does happen, though, I know, is that a lot of people will, during the pandemic, they've had to share their computers,
mm,
and that's a problem because if you've got somebody who's on the computer 4 hours a day and you've got to share it with somebody, how's that going to work?
mm.
It's like you take what 9 till 12, and I'll take 12 till 4, but classes can't be arranged like that. So
No.
inevitably, people are missing out somewhere along the line.
Well, then kids can't go to school. They have to do
Yeah,
it the old-fashioned way of a textbook.
yeah. Textbooks, talking,
Mm,
the phone,
yeah.
um, going outside and doing learning from forests and that sort of thing, outdoors.
Or
In Austria, there are Waldkindergarten. So they have
yeah.
these kindergartens that are based in forests
Mm-hmm.
and all year round. Doesn't matter, rain or shine. They are basically outdoors all day
Mm,
for the first 5 years of their life.
mm-hmm.
It's just outdoors the whole time,
Mm,
and people love this idea of kids just living outside because they said they learn so much more from watching an insect crawl up a tree
mm,
than watching a mouse crawl up a computer screen.
mm.
So there's nature. We can always learn from nature.
All the time. All the
Yeah,
time.
but anyway, getting back to more pleasant issues.
Yeah.
um, it's been a couple of months. We've just coming to the end of our fourth lockdown.
Oh,
Um,
fourth
yeah,
again.
yeah. We've
Oh
had a
my
month.
god.
It started beginning of December, so a 3-week lockdown.
Mm.
But they're making it so easy here to get vaccinations. I've got my booster. Um, John got his booster yesterday. We're all free testing, free vaccination. It's all just like so easy. We just walk down the road and get vaccinated. It's just so easy, or tested. And but we've still had this lockdown. So there have been like about, I don't know, 4 or 5 gigs that were cancelled. And all the Christmas gigs that are coming up, they've all kind of been like, we'll wait and see, you know. So yeah, I just lost heaps of gigs, and they're all the gigs that I wanted to do. All these performances were things I was looking forward to. It's like, they weren't just like, oh, I better do it because it's the money and it's a good connection, blah blah blah. There were actually ones that I had said, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. This is just perfect gig for me. What a joy, you know. But no, all that. But there were a lot of online things. I think I did tell you I was in the finalists for it was called Klangwerk Festival, or anyway, it was a sound festival, and I was chosen of 5 of 50 people to be selected, and that was fantastic, and that was all online, and then we performed, and then I think I'd already told you about the world premiere of our short film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I had. And so that's happened. And then there were a couple of other online things that have happened. And in fact, that's been quite busy. There's been something going on online for quite a while. And it's not surprising in the sense that obviously that's where things have to go. What I've been surprised at in my own little world is that there've been so much still after 20 months of being with this COVID stuff. And I think our first lockdown was in April 2020. So we're used to lockdown, we're used to online, and yet there's still so much going on. And I think that's really interesting, because I would have thought people were like so sick of it, like this, having a Zoom meeting, but actually it's become part of our life. And it's even people who have the musicians have been the ones who've said, oh, it's terrible, you can't play on Zoom, you can't play on Skype, and we'll find all these other ways. No, that doesn't work. And all these problems, people have overcoming them left, right and centre. And so you see people coming up with very clever and interesting and novel ways of dealing with how to play in a group, in an ensemble, how to put together videos together, while they can't even be together because they're stuck in different countries or something. So I think there are lots of little things that have happened that have been really, really fun. I mean, this painting behind, I did this during one of, because I host these free improv sessions every week, and they're online through Zoom. And people from all over the world play, dance, do poetry, whatever, all totally free. And we just start the session and go until the end. There are really no rules except just be respectful. And one day I decided to paint instead. So during the session, I managed to create this masterpiece.
Nice.
Based on the what I was listening to.
Are you going to sell it?
I hope so. It's up for sale. And so yeah, it was really fun, because normally I play, but occasionally I'll just do some drawing, and that would not have happened. That the structure of it, because it was improvised music, there was no structure in my head to start it off. Normally, my art is very like, I've got a plan, I've got an idea. Don't waste time doodling or wasting product or materials or whatever. Just get it done and really focus on what you want to do. So this was really fun. It's like, where do I start? I'll just go anywhere. What color? Just any color. And so it was a really fun way to express this. And I had a whole ensemble behind me. Like, I think it was about 4 or 5 other people playing while I was doing this, and they were responding to what I was doing, and it was it was almost as good an experience as if we had all been live and I'd been doing a live painting, because the feedback was like, we're talking microseconds delay, and especially between visual and sound, because visual comes in almost instantaneously, where sound there's a slight delay when you're playing, and it was just a fantastic experience. So I think there's some really positive things that have come out of all these past 20 months of pandemic.
No, I'm glad that you're staying busy and you're keeping productive as well.
Yeah.
And painting.
You have to keep it going. If you don't do it, it's just like in sort of normal times. If you don't do it, then you just get, people just don't even, they just swipe along. Oh yeah, they don't notice. You've always got to put yourself out there, I think. On the other hand, life is short. You got to do what you want to do. Is your goal to do marketing all day, or is your goal to actually do art all day, or is your goal to promote yourself as a musician, or is your goal to be a musician or to practice music?
My goal is to make money and make a living doing what I do on the podcast and music, and going hiking. I mean, I try to go hiking once a week. It's nice to have gone back out hiking. It's just really awesome, because
where do you hike?
There's a track in South Coast. I went to the Woody track last week. Had a leech on my shoe. I fell over and I had white clothes on. That sucks when you got white socks on and you got mud on your socks and shit like that.
Smart for hiking, yeah.
Back of Campbelltown, like Wedderburn way. I'm going. I think I'm going on Monday because it's going to be 26 at least. Yeah, and it's been raining all the time. I put my washing out yesterday, and an hour later, it just starts raining again.
You've had floods too.
I know, and I'm constantly mowing the lawn. I was mowing the lawn today, and I was listening to the Beatles and mowing the lawn.
That works.
Yeah. Funny thing happened. Accidentally, I put acid into one of our old lawn mowers. I thought it was petrol. It was acid, and I was like, "Oh shit, can't repair that." I know, because it wasn't labeled properly.
Oh,
mistakes happen.
That's a pisser.
And
well, I'll tell. Yesterday, because it's been snowing.
Oh, you're lucky. I wish it would snow here.
Well, it's all very lucky until you slip on black ice when you're riding a bike.
Do you play ice hockey?
Careful. No, my bike did yesterday.
You should play you should play ice hockey.
Yeah, I think I'd be a bit frightened because of the speed, and the blades are so sharp that if I slice my fingers, well, that's it. But yesterday I saw somebody go. They were riding in front of me, and they slipped on the ice, and because it was black, you couldn't see.
You got to be careful.
Frozen. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm so careful. That guy was going too fast, and I said, when I saw him, I stopped. And, are you okay? Is everything all right? Yeah. I'm a bit embarrassed because I fell and I shouldn't. So I'm going. I know, and I'm going like this. Yeah, and in about 3 seconds later, it was me. And of course, everyone says, "Oh, are you okay? Everything's all right." And then they say, "Oh, you got to go slower." It's like, duh. But it's not safe to ride my bike. But I knew I'd have to get through this little passage, and I thought, I'll just try. No, I know now. Don't do it. Just
it's like when you're walking down Woody track and it's rocky and it's sort of muddy. Yeah. But I just slipped. I had this big stick in front of me. I just fell.
Yeah, it happens. But you do have to be careful because any fall can break your bone.
I know.
So.
And it was like, it's like sort of a hill. It's like, what if I had just kept going and going down? I would have been, not good.
One of your 9 lives is gone.
Yeah. No, so that's what's happening. You've got to get outside in nature as well. I went to Aldi today and brought a green screen for $30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had their special. I
Oh,
was like, I'd rather go to Aldi, not Amazon.
hey, that's cool. I didn't know they even like. I didn't even
Mm,
know they had them. So, oh, have to check out. We have Aldi here, but it's in the form of Hofer,
mm,
because the brothers, the way they organised their marketing, the two brothers, it was, and they basically split up the business, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. So all the southern hemisphere shops are called Aldi, and all the northern hemisphere are called Hofer or Lidl,
mm,
and sometimes an Aldi in Germany, depending on where you are. And so yeah, so it's the same thing. It's the same color logo and everything.
mm-hmm,
It's just here it's a different name. But I'll check out the green screens
mm.
in our local Hoffer. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're everywhere.
whenever they have their specials on, you know.
Yeah, yep. Every they have like foot spas or I don't know what else, like gardening
Mm,
tools and stuff. But the one thing they never have is a rice maker.
mm-hmm.
That's what I've looked for a rice maker for ages, and it's really hard to find one here.
I'm
It's not
hoping
hard, but it's hard with lockdown and everything.
I'm hoping to get some if they got some hiking gear as well instead of going to Kathmandu. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's good. And I don't know. I think you have some good secondhand stores that sell good secondhand hiking gear.
oh God, I will go to any secondhand store
Yeah,
to buy things, Elizabeth.
yeah, absolutely. And those what do they call them? Those army surplus stores.
Yeah.
They could be really good.
Oh yeah.
Good quality, of
Nah.
course. They have to be good quality.
So that's what it is, and yeah, I'll be taking a break for 3 weeks over Christmas.
That
Yeah.
sounds great. Are you going on? Are you going? Are you able to go away, or are you going to
Can't go
just?
away. I'll just be going hiking and just go to the beach and just aim for hiking maybe twice a week in nature. Um,
Mm,
go to the beach as well and just keep
sounds good.
exercising. There's a thing on Disney Plus. The Beatles have got their Get Back as well. Been watching that. It's quite
What do you
interesting.
think of it?
I think it's good. Um, I thought
I
they're all
haven't seen it.
actors. Um, I thought, but they're actually the real Beatles. And I said to myself, these were actors. They're doing a good job of being John Lennon, Ringo Starr. But no, they're the real Beatles, just writing their songs. When they played that concert on top of the studio,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's what it was in the 60s.
yeah,
And it's a shame John Lennon died too.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot there that
And Pete
a
Best
lot of
was
potential
fired.
there.
Pete Best was fired from the Beatles.
Yeah.
Why was he fired?
I can't remember, but I do know that I haven't seen the movie either.
He's not in
Um,
it.
no, but I've heard that the movie is really good um, if you're into the Beatles and you've got a lot of information. It's a really nice,
Mm,
it's a really enjoyable experience.
mm,
So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that the Beatles are so they're ubiquitous,
yeah,
and for me, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, Beatles. But then when you actually hear their songs,
yeah.
you go, yeah, that's really cool. It's really really nice. I heard, and even when it's done as a cover, I heard a Strawberry Fields Forever,
Mm-hmm,
Strawberry Fields, um, as done as a very soft sort of Latin song,
mm-hmm,
and it was like, that's so cool. That works perfectly.
mm.
So even as songwriters, it's just amazing what they could do. The
Oh, that's great stuff.
prolific and good quality. Yeah,
You should have seen the amount of cigarettes they were smoking constantly. He would smoke in buildings back then too. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know how Paul McCartney's lungs are going
yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, I heard in New Zealand they're going to ban smoking for anyone 17 years and anyone who is what was it? Oh yeah, anyone who is 17 now, 17 years old or younger, they will it will be illegal for them to smoke for the rest of their lives.
That's weird. I'll tell you a funny story. I was in New Zealand when I was traveling. I went to buy some beer, and they wouldn't accept my driver's license. They said to me, "You got to show your passport." I said, "Oh, look, I'm an adult. Why can't I buy my beer?"
Wow.
So I was pissed off.
What year was that?
This is 2018 or
yeah. That's amazing, isn't it?
Oh no, it would have been. I think it was late 29. I can't remember. I can't even remember what I did yesterday. I went on a top deck tour. No, so anyway, that's traveling, I guess. I don't know.
We're expected to carry around our vaccine certificate and our identification everywhere we go. Even if we just go down to the post office or the shop or whatever, we got to carry it around with us.
I'm getting fed up.
Kind of always that way in Austria anyway, but it's and the police can stop you, and if you don't have your proof of vaccination, they can give you an on-the-spot fine as of February the 1st. So they're going to mandate vaccines.
Are they going to enforce?
It's pretty strict here.
Are they going to enforce it? Because we get a lot of laws brought in during the COVID, but the cops don't enforce it like Melbourne did during their full lockdown.
Yeah. I think this one they will start to enforce it because they've already told people if you don't do it, this is going to be the fine you'll get, and they'll just bill people. They'll just send people these fines in the mail, and then the police will come around to your house if you haven't paid them. I mean, police will come around to your house. That's the thing here. They'll do that. And sometimes they'll come around for things like, we've got this really silly rule here. It's built into every country, but the way they do it here is a bit silly. When you move to a new place, you have to register your TV or radio. And if you don't have plus yourself, of course, if you don't have a TV or radio, you just simply cross the box and say, I don't have one, so therefore I don't have to pay. But if you do have one, you have to pay 300 euros a year for your TV service. And that's not for Netflix or anything. That's just because you have a TV in your living room. And if you lie and you say, oh, no, I don't have one, all they can do is come to your house to ask to see if you have a TV, to inspect it. And technically, they're not allowed to just come in, but they can issue you a warrant for inspection.
Over a TV?
A TV. It could be sitting in the cupboard, not being used. And radio too. And of course, everyone just says, well, not everyone. A lot of people say yes because they just are so used to pay the fee. I got my TV, no problem. And also a lot of people are using computers now, so they don't need a TV. But a lot of people do have TV, so they're getting money out of this extra little scam, basically.
Is this the government scamming? Mm-hmm. Is this from the left or the right?
This is it's probably from the right, I'd imagine, but it's been in for years. It's been since the beginning of TV. And basically the idea is that it would make sure that the quality of service is very good.
See, you guys have always had much better quality internet than Australia for some reason.
Yeah, what's it like right now?
Oh, it's pretty good with NBN, but it's not super high speed what you guys would have.
Yeah, ours has been really good. That has one advantage of having such a large group of people in a small space, because obviously their connections can be shorter. They've got more money for the infrastructure. They've got a bigger sales number of people using it. So yeah, internet's not super cheap here, but it's all manageable. But yeah, it's pretty quick. And the things you can do on a computer, like I know with my old computer before, you'd sit there and you'd wait and wait and wait in Australia, and go, that'll probably be another half hour, but it could be 2 hours, but it could be 20 minutes, who knows? But here you get something done, you go, and it says it's going to be done in 6 minutes, and it will be done in 6 minutes. It's like, it's really good. Yes, touch wood. I haven't. My computer hasn't crashed since I got it. This
Good
one
on
that
you.
I'm using. So yeah, it's been fabulous. That part of
Do you plan to
society.
travel Australia in the future? Or what?
Oh, look, I'd love to get back.
Mm,
Um, but they have only just opened up tickets from Europe.
mm,
They're from England, and I think the first one I looked the other day, and I think the first available one would have been I think March or April next
mm,
year. But then there's also the problem of we don't know whether there's going to be another wave or
mm.
if we have to quarantine. If I have to quarantine there and then quarantine back here, then how much time does that give me? So I have to restructure my entire
Mm.
life here to have a visit to Australia, which is
Yeah, look,
ridiculous.
hopefully if things settle down and you come to Sydney, let me know. We'll meet for coffee or a lunch
Oh
too.
yeah, it'd be great.
No, it's
Yeah,
good to meet you in
there's
person.
a vague possibility uh, for next year, for next June,
Mm.
but who knows? You know.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
yeah, no, there were a couple of times I know I've talked to a number of people who are living outside of Australia but wanting to get back and saying, oh, I'd love to go back, but it's like if I do go back, it's going to be so expensive.
Mm.
And
Yeah, because you
there's
got to
so
pay
little
for all
work
those
out there. And,
you got to pay for those COVID tests out of your pocket. If you're leaving Australia,
mm-hmm.
it's like
And also
$300 a
then
swab.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And here it's free and rent is pretty cheap. Um, we have electricity and gas is going up, but it's nothing like it was when we were living in Tamworth. It's nothing like in Australia.
Mm.
Um, it's definitely possible to live here on a very basic wage, as long as you've got some money coming in,
Mm.
you're okay. But I couldn't say that about Australia.
Mm. Exactly. I'm fed up with
it's
Sydney.
it's very very hard. Yeah, as Mark Twain said, um, God built the harbour, but the devil built Sydney.
Mm.
It's just such a wicked place. It's so expensive. It's so beautiful, and everyone wants to be there. But there's so many ugly things about it, and just travel alone. If you want to travel, and then just to go like into town if you're living in a suburb, just to get a lunch with somebody or a dinner or something. It's just phew, there's $200 that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's an expensive city, but it's if you've got work, then you're fine. I think that's the same pretty much everywhere. But yeah, there's also possibilities of because I have EU citizenship
Mm.
or EU passport, I could go to any other country. So if Austria gets too bad, I'll just maybe we'll go somewhere like Spain or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very cheap there. But it's not easy finding a way to get back to Australia after you've been away from it for so long. Um, so I've
Mm.
been away now this time for it'll be almost 5 years, or will be 5 years.
How often do you have to renew your visa?
Well, I don't because I'm an Australian citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, my husband has to renew his at some point if we want to go back. But um, he won't just be able to waltz in. They've made it really, really tricky just to go in and out even if you're married or something. But yeah, but it's an interesting times because I don't know if I want to be on a plane with all the violence going on
Mm-hmm.
in the planes nowadays. People are being the airline stewards and stewardesses are being, or flight attendants is the word, isn't it? They're all being given special training or wanting special training and counselling for such bad behaviour on the planes. It's like, it's crazy. People getting drunk and not wearing their mask, and then somebody saying, please wear your mask, and then them going, ugh. It's like, this is not a happy way to travel. But I've got a large project that I'm involved in that we're, if all goes well, we're performing throughout next year from February on and off through to August. It's a contemporary take on Der Freischütz, the Weber opera, and it's wonderful. It's very exciting. It's really pared down. Like, I represent basically all the woodwind parts all in one, and the piano is the rest, and then there's the singer, and there's electronics. It's very, very exciting kind of project with its treatment and its approach. But we've been, because some of us live in Vienna and some of us live in Graz, which is a couple of hours distance away, we've had to travel. And of course, that's just like, it's only 2 hours by train, but that's 2 hours of going, am I going to be infected? And it's just like, these things 2-3 years ago wouldn't have even entered my mind, even during flu season. It's like, of course, it's always been there. The whole idea of catching something, and you could catch something really nasty, like you can catch a really bad flu that can kill you. If you run down and you get a lot of that virus on you, didn't even think about it. But now it's like you hear every cough and like, oh no, is it going to be? So we just take it step by step. But I'm hoping that this performance, the ones in February at least, I'm hoping that we'll actually be able to do them in the middle of winter here. It'll be an absolute amazing thing if we can actually get these done and not have another lockdown. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see.
Yeah, you're coming into summer, so.
Well, it's been a wet summer at least. I mean, it's been quite cool weather too. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, 2022 will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope for the year of the tiger.
Exactly. And I've got Disney Plus, so I'm watching Disney Plus and just trying to keep busy.
Yeah, we'll keep you hiking up. That's good for your health and good for your spirit as well. Always good to do the hikes. And it's a very strange world we live in right now.
I know.
But we do what we can.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is great. You can do these podcasts and be able to talk to people all over the place.
It is good. I'd like to have a studio one day and have people in a studio, but for now, Zoom and Skype is good for the time being. I'd like to do the whole Joe Rogan thing actually on Spotify. Podcast can be done on as a video now, which is good through my distributor Anchor.
Yep, get someone to sponsor you.
Yeah, actually, with sponsors, people can pay $1 a month if they don't want advertising for Anchor. So people are welcome to do that because I'm looking to monetize the show. To upgrade equipment. So that's what I'm looking at doing for next year.
Keep working on it.
Yeah, and got a lot to look forward to. YouTube as well. More stuff coming out on YouTube. And just keep going,
Yep, sounds good. Well, we have to. We should do a project together someday.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Something audio, visual, text, online, internet, special.
You thought about live streaming on StreamYard? Because that's what I got what you sent me. I know what StreamYard is.
Yeah, I've thought about live streaming in general.
Where would you live stream to? Twitch? I've done some shows on Twitch, but no one shows up, and it's a pain.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've done a few live stream things on Facebook, which is where people most likely will see me because I have most sort of social connections there, whatever quality they are. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I've seen a lot of live streaming, and unless there's a really particular focus on what the purpose is for that streaming, I don't want to just be part of one of those, hi guys, I'm here, and we're going to talk today about, I can't, I hear that and I go, oh no, cringe, I can't do that. I think live stream interviews are really interesting because you get a vibe like this.
And this is pre-recorded, which is good.
Exactly. I think with my Zoom, with their free improv, that is actually, if anybody wants to join in, they can watch it. But again, yes, all they have to do is get the code, and I send them the code, and then they can watch it to their heart's content. Be interactive. They can watch. There've been times when people have started watching, and they got so excited they pulled out their instrument and started playing, which is that's a beautiful thing. Other times people have sort of started playing, going, oh, actually, maybe I'll just sit and listen for this one. So some people, just viewing it.
Interested in audio apps by any chance? Because I do podcast on Wisdom audio app. Are you got an iPhone? Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I'll send it.
Wisdom.
Yeah, I'll send. Do you want me to send it to you through WhatsApp after?
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm normally going live on Wisdom probably 8 a.m. Sydney time in the morning. That's probably evening for you. If you wanted to swing by and do it audio as well.
Yeah.
That's what's good about audio apps. So that's what I've been up to. I podcast on Wisdom. I just talk solo, vent about our political system as well, and talk about hiking.
Yeah, that's good. That's
a
good combo.
Yeah.
Politics and hiking.
Oh, there is politics in the bloody national park. You can't do this.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I saw one of those, it was Fast Forward. Do you remember that show? You probably weren't around for that show, but it was an Australian show. I think it was called Fast Forward. I never saw it because I wasn't in the country at the time, but it was 1980s, I think. And they were doing a spoof on Skippy. And it just reminded me because one of the little comments, you know how Skippy's always this superhero. But they showed him up, and the funny part was you'd have to be Australian to really appreciate it, that they didn't have to do much to make it spoofy because it was already a really funny, funky, low-grade, low-rent show anyway. But at one point they say, oh, Skippy, what is it? Oh, in the forest. Oh, well, we'll have to get a permit for that. It's like, I know. And you know exactly what it means. It doesn't, you wouldn't know that if you're an Austrian. You would have totally missed that that idea of, oh, well, we can't go in the forest until we get a permit for that. Yeah. And that's so Australian, the politics and the woods. And then there's also just the whole sacred sites, indigenous culture. There are a lot of competing and conflicting issues with corporates, mining and all that sort of thing, and then indigenous people, and then preservation and heritage and fitness, health and animals, animal welfare. There's just so much going on. But it's partly, I think, because Australian wildlife is so endangered. I mean, there's just so little of it compared to, other places. It's just the forests, the bushland, the coastal areas, wherever wherever there's a habitat for animals, that's where it's better for humans to live. So they've they just keep shrinking these places. And like, we had a friend outside of Tamworth, maybe about 20 minutes, a satellite city called Kalala, and they had a 3 meter brown python in their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's a 3 meter python doing around people? It's like they don't like people, but they're coming in because they don't have a space.
Yeah.
And they've got bush turkeys in Kirribilli. It's like, what is a bush turkey doing in the middle of the city? Well, that's their land is just being
I know.
completely decimated,
I saw
and
a
they've got
brown.
nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I saw a brown snake downstairs in the laundry. It was sort of a hot day. I think it was getting some cool air.
Yeah, yeah.
I
There
told.
and my mum was saying when she was young, they used to because it was slightly different reason, but they lived. They used to go on holidays, and in those days, when you go on holidays, you're way out somewhere. McMaster's Beach was like another land. It was virtually a little log cabin, kind of all very, very rustic. And she said they check every night for snakes in their bed, like just open, like we check for spiders in our shoe. They would check for snakes in their bed. And it was just normal to have one, and they just, they'd slide away, and it's like, oh my gosh. But I mean, it's not so much the fear of them attacking humans, and that's dangerous. It's the fact that they're losing their land, so they're coming into places they should be able to find a cool hollow of a tree to get cool, and they can't. So they're finding basements, and they should be able to find a warm, sunny rock, but they can't. So they're finding washing machines and beds, and they don't necessarily notice the difference, except they need to be warm, cold. They need to just have food and sex. I mean, that's basic stuff that animals want, and they don't have a problem with us. But it's pretty scary to think that these animals have become, so close to humans that not because they're more tame, but because they've got nowhere else to go. And that's saying a lot about the land and the way it's being used in Australia. And the rest of the world too, I suppose, in a lot. But Australia's very precious. It's just got too many people for the amount of land.
Too overpopulated.
Yeah, and places in the Middle East are very similar. They've got, if they didn't have oil to fund their lifestyles, they'd be just desert again. Within 2 minutes, it'll be desert all over again.
Yeah.
So I think that's another issue to tackle.
No, but this is a great show. Final one for 2021, and thanks for coming on.
Okay. It's been a pleasure.
Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and look forward to doing this again next year as well. Anything you want to say before we finish?
Yeah, no, make sure that you stay resilient until the new year, and then just keep going. Yeah, and 2022's got to be a little bit, at least different, if not better.
I hope so as well.
Yeah.
No, this is awesome being on today.
Good. Yeah. No, thank you. And so we'll see you in the Year of the Tiger.